What's up, guys? This is Hunter again with Dial H for Heroclix, doing another review on a sealed product. Forgive me if my camera is a little off center. I can't actually tell right now. I had an incident with the camera and my screen's busted, so I can't see all of what I'm looking at, but hopefully we deliver a good video for you guys. Today, like always, our goal is to take this pack and break it down and find out what all's in it, how good it is, and give you an honest breakdown from me personally of is this worth your money. So the Sinestro Core War Scenario Pack comes in at an MSRP of $19.99. We can already see on the outside there that we have 2 figures, 2 dice, and looks like 2 relics. We're going to take it all out, get a good look at everything, and go over whether it's good or not and let you know whether I think it's worth your money. Let's get right into the meat of the pack, the thing that you guys are all wanting to see, and that's of course the figures. Sinestro is number 101. He has 2 different point options, 250 or 160, and personally I prefer his 250 dial better. At 250 he starts with Running Shot Pulse Wave, Invincible, and a special damage power. When he attacks a character that has a value reduced below its printed value, then he deals penetrating damage to it. Actually, scratch that. On the top dial, he'll start with Outwit. So on top dial, he'll have Running Shot, Pulse Wave, Invincible, Outwit, and of course has an Indom on his dial. He has an amazing trait. At either point value, you'll get this. He can use Perplex, but only to decrease combat values. When he does, he modifies all combat values on the target by -1, or all by -2 if the target has 2 action tokens. That is amazing. All values are decreased. And then if you start him at 160, so he'll have 2 clicks of those power sets, and then he'll go to the 160 point option. He'll start with his movement power instead of his running shot. He can use sidestep. You give him a power action and place him adjacent to an opposing character with 2 action tokens. That's pretty good, but as long as you time it right, you can get that off and use the trait to decrease values, and then use his special damage power where he deals penetrating damage to people who he has perplexed. So you can perplex down their defense if you're ready to hit them, or perplex down their attack, but it doesn't really matter either way because it's just going to do all values. This guy's really good at 250. You're going to have to keep him at range because, as with any piece, if you spend that many points on one figure, you really need to keep it safe. But he has an 8 range double bolt, so that'll help keep him at range, keep him safe, and then when they move up on him, then he can line up a pulse wave or something. And I just think he's really good for his points, with one of the best traits in the game, and definitely one of the best traits in this set. So I like him at both point values. He's a 5 out. I might even give him a 5 out of 5 at his top dial 250. Hal Jordan comes in at 102, and he also has an excellent trait. He can use TK as a free action if he has no action tokens. That's very useful. He does not start with willpower. That's one thing to note about this Green Lantern. But for 2 clicks, he only has 1 starting option at 160 points. The first 2 clicks he will not have willpower, but he will have Running Shot, Precision Strike, and Range Combat Expert with invulnerability on his defense. But that's a pretty good dial. He also has 8 range like Sinestro, so you can get a lot of use out of his free action TK, and then just keeping him at range, letting him take his shots. Precision Strike and Range Combat Expert is a good combination too. And then after those 2 clicks, he'll go on to a special willpower. He can use willpower, and opposing characters can't use Perplex to modify his values. When a second action token is placed on Hal, you roll a d6, and on a 3 to 6, so you have a 66% chance, you will heal Hal Jordan of 1 damage whenever he takes his second action token. So that can be useful. That can get you back up onto your Range Combat Expert. Later down his dial, he picks up Running Shot, Energy Explosion, and Energy Shield Deflection. So pretty solid dial. I like the way it's constructed. I like the healing part of the willpower, and going back up to the Range Combat Expert and just kind of helping him stay alive a lot longer. And I also really like the trait. But what's best about this figure in my mind, and why it makes him a 4 out of 5 or maybe even a 5 out of 5, depending on if we get some better constructs, is the construct ability. For those of you who are not familiar with it, basically whenever you build your force, you can automatically attach a construct to the figure just by paying the points for the construct. And then you can give the character a power action and replace that construct with any other one, as long as it's not 2 points higher, more than 2 points higher than the one that you initially paid for. If you go from a higher point construct to a lower point one, then it's a free action instead of a power action. So having the ability, it's kind of like this basically gives you kind of like a ghetto Old Man Logan type thing. And that's very useful. Being able to swap back and forth through stuff similar to Deadpool's word bubbles is just very good. It adds a ton of playability. And so far, the few constructs we've seen have been really good and well worth basically showing me that this construct ability is going to make this piece a lot better and a lot more playable. So both of these figures are great figures and ones that you should own if you're a Lantern fan. Next, we have the two pieces that will go to our power battery resource. If you guys would like to get a hold of a power battery resource for yourself, you will need to play in a War of the Light Month 1 event at a venue near you. The ring is very, very good, and it's a key component to the power battery. You're going to want to own this if you're planning on playing the power battery a lot. The Green Lantern one costs you 8 points to insert into your battery. And if the character already has the Green Lantern Corps keyword, then it will modify all their values but damage +1. If the character doesn't already have the keyword, then it gives it to them. It gives them willpower, and it gives them another special little thing where every time that you're targeted with Outwit or Perplex, you roll a d6, and on a 4 to 6, so a 50% chance, you will ignore the effect of the Outwit or Perplex. So that's pretty useful, mainly of course the willpower part, but the ability to give multiple characters on your team willpower through the power battery and this ring and multiple constructs is going to be very, very good. And then the actual construct we get in this is the shield, and it's pretty simple. This character can use energy shield deflection, and that also only costs you 8 points, so that's very good. 8-point energy shield deflection on specific figures especially is going to be very, very useful. So I highly recommend getting this pack just for both of these pieces if you plan on playing the War of the Light at all. As relics, or as a relic as far as the Green Lantern ring, it still is 8 points. It does pretty much the same thing, and the relic roll to pick it up will be a 5 to 6. Alright, now let's get to the Horde tokens. We're going to first start off with bystander tokens. You will get 3 different bystander tokens in your pack, and you only get 1 copy of each, of course, but they're bystanders, they're not hordes, so you can't stack them anyways. Thomas Kalmaku is pretty dang useful. He only is 6 points, and his damage power lets him give him a power action, and you heal an adjacent vehicle of 1 click of damage. You don't have to roll like support to hit, you just instantly heal. That's very, very useful for 6 points. Cowgirl also is useful for vehicles. She's at 7 points. Not only does she have Smoke Cloud on a piece for only 7 points, that's useful, but she also has a damage power that lets her perplex vehicles only, and only their speed or attack. Then we have Rocket Man, who costs 8 points, and Rocket Man also has Smoke Cloud and has a special damage power as well. He can perplex the defense value of vehicles. So we have very cheap pieces that all work very well with vehicles, and I highly recommend if you play vehicles a lot, getting a hold of these. Even if you aren't interested in anything else in this pack, print and play them once they finally go up on Heroclix.com or something, but these are freaking good for vehicle play. Alright, then we're moving on to the Green Lantern Initiate. He is 18 points. He has Flight, Indom, 6 range, and Energy Shield and Energy Explosion, as you can see there, with 2 damage and a special defense power on, special damage power on that slot. When he's maxed, which is 3 by the way, he can use Running Shot and has 2 bolts. So 18 points for a taxi in and of itself is pretty dang good in this game, let alone the fact that it's a taxi with Indom and an easy line of fire blocker, as I put it, with a 16 energy shield. So that is a whole lot of use out of one little 18-point pog, being able to carry 2 turns in a row. or carry up and then move next turn, block line of fire, and have a decent chance at surviving. Or if you really want to go the attack route and stack them for the max, that would be 54 points for running shot, energy explosion, and energy shield. Not too bad either. Then Dax, you will get 6 of him, two max stacks. Daxamite has a maximum of 5, and you will only get 1 stack of him, so you only get 5 of these. He has charge super. He's 23 points. Charge, super strength, and toughness with a special damage power called Bathed in Sunlight. When he occupies and is only adjacent to clear squares of outdoor terrain, and he is stacked, then he gets flight symbol, a range of 4, and he increases his values by half of the stack. So the maximum, if you had them all up at 5, he'd cost 115, but he would be a flyer with a charge, a 10 attack, super strength, a 2 damage, damage power. I don't really like this guy. He's one of the few duds in this of these Horde tokens for me personally. And then next up we have Zamarin Trainee, and she is 20 points, has a maximum of 3, has Mind Control, Incapacitate with 6 range, and Energy Shield, and a special damage power as well. Her damage power is when she is maxed, which is 3. She has 2 bolts, so that would be 60 points because she's 20 points. She's okay. She's a mediocre piece for me. The 6 range with the Mind Control or the End Cap and a 9 attack is pretty nice, I gotta say. And then if you wanted to get the max bonus and you wanted to stack her, a 60-point Mind Control, double bolt Mind Controller or Incapacitator is not too shabby either, but she's not exceptional. So she's solid. If you're running a Zamaron team and you want to keep it thematic and look for a good little add-on piece, she would be perfect. Then we also have Yellow Lantern Initiate. He also has a max stack of 3, so you'll get 6 of him in this. He is 19 points. He has Flight, Force Blast, a special attack power, and exploit weakness. His attack power is he can use Pulse Wave unless he is stacked, unless he is maxed, then the Pulse Wave ignores characters that don't have action tokens. So his max would be 3, so he would be 38, so 57 for a max. He's okay as well. I don't hate him because, like I said, a 19-point taxi in this game is not too bad. He does not have Indom like the Green Lantern one though, so the Green Lantern one's a little bit better of a taxi. The Pulse Wave thing could be useful, but I don't know. Personally, I'm going to reach for the Green Lantern guy over this guy if I'm reaching for this type of figure, but not too bad either, so mediocre as well. Then we'll talk about Black Lantern Risen, which is probably the coolest one. He is only 13 points with a max stack of 4, so you'll get 8 of him. He has Stealth on top click, or, well, only click, of course. He has Stealth and Exploit weakness, and he has special defense power. When he KOs an opposing character, you can place another friendly Black Lantern Risen token in that character square, and Black Lantern Risen can use Empower this turn. That's pretty cool, especially if you have swarms of these guys for only 13 points. Somebody who can, for one, has exploit weakness, so has the potential to kill people, and also can get more for free of these little guys. So they're not bad, and they should be fun to play. Anything like that, like Zuvimbis, is usually really fun to play. Next to him, I have Manhunter Alpha, who is definitely up there competing for best Horde token out of this little starter set. He is 25 points, the most we've seen so far, but he's well worth it. He has a max stack of 4, so you'll get 8. He has Indom, and he has Plasticity, a special attack power, Toughness, and Range Combat Expert, and his range is 5. His attack power is called Summon to Sector 666. You give one a power action, and then you may place any number of friendly characters named Manhunter Alpha with no action tokens in this square to form a stack. And again, his maximum is a 4. So I think that's pretty cool. If you want to use them separately, you can. I mean, you can. The 25-point Plasticity tie-up guys with Toughness is pretty useful, as we've seen, you know, in in competitive play, plasticity tie-up pieces are very, very good and great at controlling pacing. So if you wanted to run a bunch of them, you could. If you wanted to run them as a stack and make them constantly deal with having to kill a plasticity piece and then the top one comes off and there's still another plasticity left in there, you could. You could do some tricks like you could have somebody with the Green Lantern team ability carry up 8 of these guys, and then the next turn you form them into 2 giant stacks with that power action power. So he's pretty cool. I can see some good potential uses for him in the future. And then lastly we have, I think, my favorite and maybe tied with Manhunter for the best, Orange Lantern Absorbed. He is really, really awesome. He actually has improved movement, as you can see there with the little plus next to his name. He ignores characters on movement. And he also has, he's 25 points, maximum of 3, so you get 6. He has Sidestep and Poison, and a 16 reflexes, all for 25 points. Then he has a special damage power on top of that. When he can use Plasticity. When he's maxed, adjacent opposing characters may only attack him. Characters named Orange Lantern Absorb. That's extremely good. This is like your 25-point tie-up piece right here. You got Plasticity, you got Sidestep, and you ignore characters, so you can go wherever the heck you want. You can move up, tie up somebody, then sidestep back behind them and tie up their sniper or whatever. Poisoning the whole time with reflexes. Stack them up. This is one where it would be very useful to stack them as well, because they can't deal with you easily. They can't easily pop you once for 1 damage and then not have to deal with your poison. They're going to have to hit the stack multiple times, or else they're going to take that poison next turn. And you can sidestep into position before you activate that poison as well. I really, really like this guy, especially if you're playing with the Larfleeze prize from month 1. He has great synergy with these guys. So very happy with the Horde tokens overall in this set. Alright, map-wise, we first have Oa Central Battery Plaza outdoors. As you can see, in the middle of this map are 2x2 squares of special terrain that have blocking all the way around it. This is not for tournament play, and that's because it's extremely good. Basically, the player who was the first player and who chose map gets to place their battery there, and the other player cannot use a battery for this game. And on top of that, you get to roll a d6 at the end of each of your turns, and on a 5 to 6 you can remove an action token from a friendly Corps member, so you can see why that's not for tournament play to be exceptionally good. We have elevated on the 4 corners of the map, and then we have just some kind of long hallways with a couple little areas of blocking there that you could hide behind to block lines of fire as you move in. I kind of like the map. I kind of like the way that there's elevated on the corners and then there's blocking to hide behind, but you can still get in some good firefights. I kind of like it overall, but just remember that that orange is not for tournament play. This next map I absolutely love. It is called Ranks, R-A-N-X. It's outdoors map, and as you can see, there's tons of blocking in this map. There are very tight corridors and hallways to fight in, and then there's kind of an open area there in the middle where you can go into and fight. But these little orange areas is why I love this map, because it's special rules, and this is legal for tournament play. Orange squares are plasma pillar squares. During the beginning of your turn, any hindering or blocking terrain that are in those pillar squares are removed, and any character occupying a plasma pillar square is dealt 1 unavoidable damage for each action token that they currently have. And that's going to trigger at each player at the beginning of each player's turn. So if you can Force Blast or TK your opponent into those orange squares when they have 2 tokens, they're going to take 2 at the beginning of their next turn, and that 2 unavoidable damage is pretty dang tasty. I love this map. I love powers like that. So a very cool map. The other side's okay too, so pretty solid maps overall. Not exceptional, but pretty solid. Alright, so now that we've broken down everything that's in the pack and gotten a look at everything, let's talk about what all was included and whether we think it's worth the money. Well, we had 2 figures, Sinestro and Hal, both of which were great figures, particularly Sinestro at full dial. That traded Perplex plus his already 18 defense, minus in their attack down to -2 and making them hit your 18 while you just keep doing penetrating damage to them is going to be really good. Hal is also not bad first points at all. And just remember, whenever we finally get all of the constructs pieces after playing through War of Light, he's going to be a much better figure. That mechanic of being able to swap is going to be really good. Similar to Deadpool with word bubbles, it really adds to his playability. We had 48 Horde Tokens. I liked almost all of them. The 3 bystanders are all great for vehicles and are all very cheap. The Orange Lantern one is exceptionally good. The Green Lantern one is just a really cheap taxi. I think it was an 18-point taxi with willpower. That's really good too. And then the Manhunter Alphas I liked. Great tie-up to have a cool power. They also had Endom for a Horde token. And then the Black Lantern ones aren't too bad either, and could be fun, especially for zombie teams. We had a double-sided map, which was really cool. It's always cool to have maps that have like guaranteed pits of damage like that. So personally, I enjoy those maps a lot. The 2 custom dice, they're okay. If you have the Avengers or the X-Men packs, you are familiar with what how these dice feel and are constructed. They're not heavy, they're just plastic. If that matters to you, if you're like a dice connoisseur, then they're not that high of quality, but they'll get the job done and they look nice. The resource relic is the Green Lantern ring. It's very good. If you listen to our podcast at all, we talk when we break down what's good and what's not as far as resources and relics are concerned. You know that we really like the Green Lantern ring. Anything that can give multiple pieces on your team willpower is going to be very good as we get more pieces through War of Light. And then I have written there relic resource piece. I'm referring to the shield construct that comes, and that is also very good. Being able to give energy shield deflection is very good, and I think for those people who want to get the most out of their battery combinations, I think this is a good one to own, to have in your arsenal, that energy shield deflection. So we got a lot of things here for $19.99. I had to say I was a little skeptical at first that a scenario pack would be worth our money, but I think the 2 figures are good, and we have enough extra things to warrant paying the $19.99. So, and also, honestly, if you plan on playing the power battery at all, you need that Green Lantern ring. It is key. It kind of is a little shady for it to be included in something separate, but I guess it is only $19.99, and you do get enough other stuff with it to warrant the price tag. So if you plan on playing War of the Light, you have to buy this thing, and at least, like I said, you're getting a good value for your $19.99. Well, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel here on Dial H for Heroclix, where we try to put out weekly content, and I will be putting up some matches from this past Saturday for you guys, for those of you who like to watch matches on YouTube. Be sure to check those out coming up this week. Be sure to listen and subscribe to our podcast, Dial H for Heroclix. It's found weekly on iTunes, YouTube, and Podbean.com.